right, people, let's get into this Cyberfrog Bloodhoney review. Now, for those of you that saw my unboxing video, you'll notice that I kept my comments based on how the package from Ethan arrived to me from the post office, and the actual, of course, unboxing of it and what I found inside, and my initial thoughts of seeing it and having it in my hands for, you know, almost a year. But in any case, it was a very, I think, exciting moment for everybody, and not one that anybody really wanted to bring any negativity to it, for anything that might have been found or seen or whatever, because just out of respect for, you know, Ethan and the people involved. So I waited a couple of days. You know, there's some other people that did some reviews. You know, some, you know, Anna received a little backlash with her review. And, of course, she did a rebuttal to that, which I'm not quite sure if that smoothed things over to some people. But in any case, I kind of stand behind my statement that I made, that I think she would have been better off, you know, following your boy Zach's path and not doing an actual book review on Ethan. Because, you know, let's face it, either you say the book's great and, you know, it's perfect and nobody believes you because you're his, you know, best friend and one of the, you know, one of the YouTubers that are together a lot on streams, or you point out something negative and people come after you for it. And whether it was, you know, intended or not. So I wanted to wait. I wanted all the excitement to die down for everybody to get, you know, to receive their item. And I know there's some people with the chromiums and whatnot that are having to wait a little bit longer. And I guess that's just the way things worked out. I don't think that was the initial plan. But in any case, I want to go ahead and get this over and done with, and so let's get started. First off, the cover. Like I said, cover's awesome. I think it's better that this one wasn't in chromium, just because of the colors and just I think we would have lost something in chromium. And this is I like it just like this, not too glossy. It kind of brings that drawing out to you and looks a little bit more realistic. So, but yeah, 5 stars on the cover, of course. And so yeah, as we go into this and talking about the story, you can't talk about the story without talking, you know, about the art and the color. That's probably 85% of the story, as far as I'm concerned. You know, pictures say 1,000 words, and these pictures here say a lot more words than the total number of words in the dialogue in this book. And that's just the nature of, you know, the way Ethan tells a story with his drawings. And that's what we, you know, we love about his art, that he is very detailed and takes time to give us a lot more than you're going to get from your normal comic book on the newsstand. So yeah, getting into this, you know, my first read, and this is all based on my first read. When I got through it, it took about 15 to 20 minutes, like Ethan said, and the story was going along good. The narration, keep in mind, I think we all knew that this story was an introduction to catch people up to who Cyberfrog is. Not everybody not everybody's heard of Cyberfrog, including myself. And so all those things in the 90s that Ethan did, were not available to probably most of us that are reading this book for the first time. But in any case, the story goes along. You got your narration and of what's going on, and then you get into the introduction of Cyberfrog and Salamandroid, and that's when you get into where the dialogue for me was. I had to kind of reset my mind a bit because, you know, I guess in my mind I was expecting a little bit mature dialogue, but then in retrospect now, thinking about it, when Cyberfrog and Salamandroid meet for the first time, they're just learning the language, so it's kind of simplistic and maybe not supposed to be, you know, as a mature of a dialogue as I was expecting. But as we went on and we got to the point of them being here for a while, I did expect the dialogue to become a little bit more serious. And I like, you know, humor in stories, but you have to be careful, you know, not to have too much and not to forget that this invasion is you know, a serious thing for this story. I mean, if you really were to make it a realistic story, I think we all would realize how quick, or realize very quick how serious this was. And I'm hoping as we go on to the next, you know, the next chapter of this, that you know, things will get a little bit more serious and feel like it's more geared towards a more mature audience versus, you know, a teenage audience. You know, based that I think the adults are the ones that's probably spending the money to support these comics. But in any case, I understand Ethan's desire to get people back into comics, and this is a way to do that. I will say that the story moved along at a pretty good clip, and I can understand Ethan's frustration for not having more pages here, because kind of like movies, I think a lot of it ended up on the cutting room floor, and we lost that that build up, that development of character between the characters here, and it kind of went by pretty quick. And as Anna pointed out, by the time we got you know, close to the end, it was already over. And that's just, I think, the nature of this first issue. And I guess every issue will probably end on a cliffhanger. That's the nature of it. So, but yeah, the story overall, I don't have a problem with it. I think there's a huge universe that Ethan's created here, and he can go in a lot of directions. And there's a lot of stories to tell. Now, you know, I'm not sure if all of us will be able to afford to stay in the game and get all those stories without them being all included in another book. But we will see as time goes by what happens. And but in either case, I wish Ethan the best on his future stories. Now, getting into some of the other issues, the big issue here, and I think people's talked about it, and I think Zach brought it up, and it's kind of more of a damage control video the way I took it, which I can understand for his friend. We did have an issue here with the pages being wavy, and I think that I'm not sure what to blame it on. I know what Zach's theory is, as far as the books being stacked, and I would go along with that if all the other books from Comic Skaters look the same way. I think what really happened here was that because of the and you can see it on all these dark pages very easily, much more so here. I mean, they're here, but the color is hiding it. I think what really happened here was because of the page count and the problem that Ethan talked about with binding this book. I I think the printers may have decided to go with a thinner page to try to help alleviate that issue. But in doing so, I don't think the page was able to hold all this ink and this color that is in this book without becoming saturated. And I think, of course, when it became saturated, it got a little damp. And just like any kind of paper, when it gets damp, it tends to wrinkle up. Does it take away from the story? No. Is it a bit distracting when you open up to these dark pages and see these for the first time? The answer is yes. And of course, you see this on every, part 1, part 2, part 3 throughout the book on these dark pages. And anywhere where you have a dark page, for example, like this, you have the waves here. It's not the end of the world, Ethan. It doesn't take away from the hard work that you've put together here and the incredible art and story. It's just something that I think we need to fix next time, whether it's with a better grade paper or what other method can fix this. I don't think, I've had this book for, almost a week now. So these waves are not going away. They're here to stay. And, I could try to put a concrete block on them for, a month and see if it flattens out. But I just don't think that's going to happen. So, this was, evidently other people saw it. I saw it when I did my unboxing video. But like I said, I didn't want to bring anything with a negative connotation to the arrival of Cyberfrog for anybody. And that's why I just kind of let it slide. You can see it in the video. You can see the waves in the video pretty clearly. But it just wasn't something to draw attention to at that time. I'm drawing attention to it now, not to in any way, sabotage this crowdfunding adventure that Ethan has taken us on, but just to make things better for the next go round. I don't know what needs to be done. I don't know if I've seen comic books that had pages that resembled the sketch page here that were pretty thick, that would never have any wrinkles on like this. But I'm not a printer. I don't know. I don't know what it would take to do that. So I have to leave that up to Ethan to figure out how to make this better. And but with that said, it's a great read overall. I'm hoping that things get a little bit more serious and mature as time goes on, and I hope that we don't cut the pages down less, because with 88 pages we still felt like it ended too soon. So making a shortened version of this just to get it out quicker is probably not going to help with that problem. As far as the added stuff, the bookmark, the window cling, and the cards, those are great. I'm sure those will change. Those options and things will change. But if we do a window cling again, I'd like to see this thing reversed. In other words, the adhesive to be on the front here, so that when you stick it on the window of your car, the window cling is inside the car and not exposed to the elements. And it'll last a lot longer that way with just getting dirty and washing your car and that sort of thing. But I think this was done rather quickly to try to get another little added addition. But that would be one thing that I would change with that. But like I say, the book overall I'm happy with, and can't wait to see what else happens, and you know, it's just a matter of, I guess, waiting. And this isn't something that happens overnight, man. And Ethan, I wish you the best, man. And I hope that things continue to work out well for you. And I know for all of us out here and out in YouTube watching and listening, we're hoping that Cyberfrog continues for a long time. And with that, I am done, and I will let y'all go.